a review for the TV show Arrow Season 1, Episode 11, called Trust But Verify, which is a great title for this episode. And I have to say, from last week's episode, if you didn't see my review, I was a little disappointed with it, especially for a return episode. So I wasn't totally excited for this episode. I thought it'd be the same thing, villain of the week, very predictable story. But let's see if I was surprised at this. With this episode, we get to see Dig's friend, who was in the Marines, also in the military. He is part of this operation, and he wants Dig to be part of this operation also, but Dig obviously doesn't want to do it. He doesn't even think this guy is part of this operation, but Oliver's like, he is, trust me, he's on the list, but Dig doesn't want to believe this. So in the whole episode, again, it's more about trust and their team dynamic of trusting each other. In the end, we find out the guy actually was part of this whole operation. Even though that's such the big story, a lot of the different story and a lot of the interesting parts come not with the villain of the week, but a lot of different plots going on. Thea doesn't believe that, Thea does believe that her mother is cheating with Tommy's dad. Now, that's a big story with Thea, and she gets upset because it's her 18th birthday, and she thinks that the mother's cheating on Walter with Tommy's dad during the party. So she's like, oh, I'm so angry. So our friends give her this drug, Vertigo, which I know from months ago that Vertigo is supposed to be this big villain, and Thea's going to get wrapped into all this. So finally, the big villain is coming into this show, and Vertigo, the drug, everything is coming together with this. And now Thea's taking this drug that's supposed to be highly addictive. And she goes on a joyride with her car, and she gets in a car crash. So she gets into the hospital, and the police say, you're in the hospital, so they had to do a drug test, and that was positive. So now she's going to jail. That was a very big shocker for me. I'll talk more about that as the review goes on. And also we get to see flashback scenes with this episode. So we get to see that the Chinese guy, you can't trust him because he is actually working for the other side. And that's why this is a great example for trust but verify. The guy who we thought we could trust, Oliver was trusting, was the bad guy. He has no one to trust on this island anymore, and that's why he is so guarded. And I think that's just a story, something that's just going to develop. And I was even though I felt like it didn't make me on the edge of my seat, but I was like, interesting for the story. And I know a lot of people like that cliffhanger, and I have to say I really liked it too. And also we get to see Tommy and Laurel interact with the father, and the father again is not trustworthy, and we get to see the dynamic between them. It's just everything is coming together with this episode, and I think the little things is what made this episode really great for me, and it was such an improvement from last episode. I mean, you can still feel the formula of the villain of the week, but it made you surprised, and it made the villain of the week a little interesting. With last week's episode, I think it was the bottom of the villain of the week. It's predictable, the character wasn't interesting, but with this, the villain of the week wasn't so important. The plot was, and the villain of the week made things, made these plot points important, but it brought these plot points in, and it brought the trusting of, should Oliver and Dig trust each other. I think it put that into question, and I think that's what the villain of the week was all about. Was not necessarily the villain like it was last week, but it was more of, does Dig and Oliver trust each other? I think that's the way they should go with this show, especially with the hit list. It gets boring, it's generic, it happens every episode, it's a formula, and you can see it. But with this, it was less of a formula, and yes, you could tell they were coming with some formula, but there was actually plot ideas and different writing. The writing style was better. So I just really enjoyed this episode. I think my biggest thing that I really enjoyed, I did like the cliffhanger from the flashback. I think that's interesting to see more of the flashback and more of who does he trust. And I hope they go through the, Green Arrow Year 1. Will they do the whole drug thing? And why is everyone on this island? I think they should discover a little bit more about that and explore that. But to tell you the truth, I was really interested in Tommy and Laurel's story. Seeing Tommy's character, now that we know that he's not the villain so far, I'm seeing him become and grow as a character, I think. I think he's the one character, if you see from episode 1, he is different from now, even though it's only been 11 episodes. I think he is different. He's grown, and that father and son dynamic is going to be interesting. I really like that in this episode. Even though Laurel really wasn't in it, I think that was very interesting. And the Thea part, now, I think it's not... I think the interesting part is that she's taking this drug. I think this is what's going to make her character less two-dimensional and more three-dimensional, and more into this story, pushing her into the story. And a question I'm actually going to do a topic video on, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler for my channel, is that for Dark Avenger Inc. I'm going to do a topic video later on Sunday that should Speedy, will Speedy come into Arrow, and will this be... Thea, or, you know, it could be Roy because he's coming to the show. And I think with this, you know, the drugs and everything, it reminds me a lot of Mia Dearden. And I think that's where they're going with Thea's character. I think they want to do the Mia Dearden type of Speedy story. I mean, obviously they're not going to do it directly because Mia Dearden wasn't Oliver's sister, but I think they want to go that direction, her, you know, being the bottom of the bottom, and then that's how she's going to grow to a character. I think they are going to go that way. I think I have this, you know, gut feeling, and I think with this whole drug thing, it's just making her go down, 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 in this downward spiral, and I'm very excited to see what that does for her character. Now that she's going to jail, that's going to make this Vertigo episode for next episode really good. And I think that was the cliffhanger I really liked the most, was the Thea cliffhanger, because I'm like, wow, maybe her character will be interesting now. And I think the drug thing is going to make her character interesting and make her more, you know, connected with the villain. And will that make her find out about Oliver being vigilante? Will that making her go quicker into the Speedy role? Because I think she will become Speedy. I think the writers were referenced that she's going to become Speedy and not make her Speedy. I think they're foreshadowing from episode 1 that she's going to become this character, but how will she become that character? I think it's not the question, will she become Speedy? It's how will she become Speedy? And I think that's something I'm very interested in. And again, I think this drug storyline is going to push her into that direction. And the one complaint I only have for the next, the coming attractions for the next episode is it felt very Joker-ish to me. So again, a lot of people's complaints are that it's too Dark Knight and they're trying to follow that formula. And I think with this Vertigo character felt, oh, wow, he looks crazy and he reminds me of the Joker. And I think they're going that direction. I mean, they're trying not to follow the footsteps of Smallville, but stealing stuff from Dark Knight. I really hope they make this Vertigo guy different from Joker. I mean, just from the seconds I saw of him, it just reminded me of that. But I'm very looking forward to next episode, and I'm actually excited. This is what the show should do, not just like, oh, it's Wednesday, I gotta watch Arrow, you know? I want to be excited saying, wow, 8 o'clock is Arrow. I can't wait to watch it. And I think with this episode, it had enough of those cliffhangers. It had enough of those moments that kept us interested, not just driving us along. So, big improvement on this episode. I give it 4 stars, really solid. The villain of the week was awesome, and it brought, it wasn't the villain of the week that was great, it was what brought the characters and where the characters are going because of it. Just think about this title, Trust But Verify. It really explains this whole episode, and very interesting. Can't wait until next week's episode, which I'll be doing a review a little bit earlier because I just had about a lot of my comic book reviews, and that's why this review is up a little later. But I will be going to, I think, next week I'll have it up at, 9:30ish. So, because I won't be doing my comic book reviews on Wednesday, but I'll be doing them Thursday and Friday now. So, and my Arrow review will be up earlier. So I'm sorry for the delayed review. It's going to be up towards the night. But I really hope you enjoyed this, and tell me your thoughts about this episode, and your theories on these characters and what this episode brought, and what do you think the characters will be doing next. So this is Comic Uno. Hope you guys enjoyed. There will be a review for Arrow next week also, and the week after that I do Arrow reviews every week. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, guys. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter for Comic Uno and the Rant Situations, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.